Testing 1 2 3 1 2 3. Let me know if you guys could hear me. Honey, we about to go live to NASA. Yes. Let me share. What is this? All right. Yeah, honey. So this is live. We have it's 20 more minutes. 21 minutes before the Artemis II, NASA's Artemis II launched to outer space to circle around the moon. Next year in 2027, they're going to land on the moon. This is the first time NASA has sent or launched a rocket or a spaceship to the moon in 54 years. Yeah. I guess allegedly we actually did go to the moon in 1968, and it was like 8 missions, allegedly. Some say it was a Hollywood studio. I talked about it on Monday's show with on Man Up Monday with me and the judge. The judge said no, it was not fake. They really did go. He was looking at it in the telescope back in the day. So now here we go 54 years later. So the closer it gets, 6:30 is the launch. Look at them. That's not today's show though. Today's show, we got to talk about reparations for illegals. Yeah. I briefly touched on it Monday. And the only reason why I want to revisit it is because if the Democrats win the midterm in November and take over Congress, they are going to issue, not call it reparations, restitutions, whatever. They're going to issue reparations to illegals and immigrants. They are. They're going to get some type of form of payment for trauma, yada, yada, yada. The bullshit, the BS. So, and then today, the Supreme Court, SCOTUS, they heard the final hearings on birthright citizenship. President Trump, he is the first ever sitting president that went to the Supreme Court to sit in on the closing arguments. Tomorrow on Injustice for All episode, Judge Joe Brown is going to break it all down. I'm not doing that today. But the question that I am going to ask you guys today, or that I want to discuss later on in the show, why am I seeing Black Americans protested in front of SCOTUS against the Trump administration on birthright citizenship? Why am I seeing Black public figures like the Roland Martins, NAACP, all of these Black organizations supporting birthright citizenship for illegals, anti the Trump administration on birthright citizenship? Why do I see Black faces in these spaces? It has nothing to do with us. And why are you creating, you Black idiots? Why are you creating this narrative saying if SCOTUS, if the Supreme Court sides with Trump, then it's going to affect us, Black Americans? No, it's not. So I'll get into that later. So we have 10, 20 more minutes, with 16 minutes to be exact, before the launch. So in the meantime, I'm going to get into the actual topic. Let me change my background here. I know I'm always forgetting something. I'm always forgetting something. So guys, please share this video, like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel, get all notifications, hit that bell button. All that. Yeah. Or do I want this? Or do I want this? No, I want the red. Yes. And I do have a goal. I do. If I reach the goal, I will do a live call-in show on Friday. I promise. I have not done live call-in shows because I never reach my goal. Yeah? Okay. Well, while we wait for the launch, I got to put that on. I want to revisit this clip here because we have some time. So Monday, like I said, I played this clip and I'm going to play it again. And this is Representative Jayapal. She's a Democrat. And she'd held a hearing on kidnapped and disappeared Trump's attack on children. It's basically a hearing on illegal migrants. And they are blaming the Trump administration for children being kidnapped. And I know that the Trump administration saved over 500,000 missing children because their parents allowed them to be human trafficked past the border so that they can be in America. However, during this hearing, she indicated that not only ICE agents should be prosecuted, but she's also advocating for payment for illegals because they were traumatized and it was a lot of harm done to them. This is where I get indecisive. Should I get into this now or after the launch? No, I'm going to get into this now.
For Congress to step up and to legislate protections, ideally to legislate to outlaw the existence of family detention, period. That is the only real solution.
Thank you so much. We are at time and votes are about to be called, but I really want to thank all of you. Manny, I want to thank you for your courage in speaking up and organizing students at your school, and for being here, because I know it's a tremendous risk to your family and to you. And I think that there are many kids across the country that are inspired by you. I know we are. And I want you to know that we heard you loud and clear, and we're going to make sure that this testimony gets out to everyone. And to the rest of you, I want to say the same thing. Thank you. We all had Kleenex here, and I've worked on this issue for 20 years. I mean, I know the immigration system inside and out, and I still cannot believe that we are doing this to our own children. And I know what the pain must be. I listen to you as an educator. I listen to you as a psychiatrist. I listen to both of you as legal advocates and policy experts. And somebody asked, how is this possible? I think it was you, Mrs. Zern. And I want to say that part of yes, it is Donald Trump, but it is also every single Republican who refuses to address this issue. Let's not let any of them off the hook. It is also every single corporate CEO and every single supporter of this administration that is allowing this to happen, that is being complicit in this. Because when the founders put into the Constitution the idea that Congress would have power, they assumed that the party that was in control of Congress would stand up to a dictatorial, authoritarian president. And that is not happening. And so, I think as a closing statement, I'll just say that the enormity of the abuses and the violations are very difficult to capture. It's why we've already had 7 hearings, and honestly, we will have many more. But very, very difficult. It's such a serious situation, but how beautiful to have your children here as well, your nieces and nephews here as well, to give us the joy of children that every child should be experiencing. The enormity and the abuses of the violations are difficult to capture, and I think we're going to have to continue to make these connections for the country about how on every sphere, every level, we are seeing these continue. We have to continue to call out the profiteering. Representative Castro mentioned this. It's something I've spent a lot of time on. We need to outlaw private prisons for immigrants. That should not exist. These should not be there for profiteering for big corporations that then channel those profits back into this administration that
why is she saying that, that the prison system should not be profiting off of illegal criminals? Our prison system is profiting off of United States citizen. Why is she speaking up against that as well? I just wanted to throw that out there. Why are you saying that our system should not profit off of double criminals, illegals, because you came here illegally and you committing crimes while you're here, but you won't advocate for American citizens being, cattle for people to get rich off via the prison system?
Facilitates them. And at the end of the day, when we are back in power, one of the important things we're going to have to do is balance a number of different things that need to happen. Number one,
and so here it is. She said, when we are back in power, she's talking about this year, the midterms, when the Democrats, if they get elected to control the House and the Senate, this is what they're going to do.
We need defensive reform. We need to stop the things that are happening that should not be happening. We need offensive reform. We actually need an immigration system that works and recognizes the contributions of immigrants to this country and establishes legal pathways for people to come to this country and for people to be able to get citizenship when they've been a part of our communities for so long. And then we also need offensive actions around prosecutions. We need real accountability, because at the end of the day, the people that have been inflicting this harm need to be prosecuted. They need to be brought before us, and they need to be held account for the trauma that they have created. And we are going to have some form of reparation for the kids and the families that have been traumatized through all of this. You talked about how there's no supports for people even once they're released. We need to make sure that we are funding that kind of work to continue to provide relief. And
so again, it's the word reparations is rolled off her mouth so easily when you're talking about illegals, because they've been traumatized. The kids, right? They need repair. The parents need repair. They came over here because the Biden administration allowed the open border, and they had to travel through the jungle, travel with the cartel, be human trafficked. And don't tell them what happened to the children and to the women, walking hundreds and thousands of miles to get here. And while they're here, they received all of these tangibles. And now that Trump is in office, he took away all those tangibles. And if we control Congress in November, we're going to give all those tangibles back, plus reparations on top of that. That is what she's saying. There is no federal U.S. government program that has ever paid formal reparations, whether it's cash payments for any type of historical wrongs, specifically to undocumented immigrants. It never happened. Undocumented immigrants have long been barred from most federal welfare, cash assistance, and benefits under the 1996 Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity, the Reconciliation Act, PRWORA. They can access emergency Medicaid, public K-12 education for children, and some emergency services, but not broad entitlements. That is the law. The current phrase, illegals getting reparations, exploded March this week by Representative Parmila Jayapal. I think she's a Democrat out of WA is what? Washington, right? Washington State. She's a top Democrat on the House Immigration Committee, held a shadow hearing and stated the people that have been inflicting this harm on migrants need to be prosecuted, talking about ICE. And we are going to have some form of reparations for the kids and the families that have been traumatized by ICE enforcement and Trump era deportation policies. Now, critics frame this as Democrats wanting to pay people who broke immigration laws for the trauma of facing the consequences. It is a proposal only, it is not a law, it is not funded, and is not enacted. So right now she's just running her mouth talking. However, it's going to become a law, it's going to become funded, and it's going to have some public policies passed to be enacted if the Democrats take over Congress this November in the midterms. Now, separately, some sanctuary cities have given targeted aid in recent migrants. Many undocumented or asylum seekers, such as New York City short form prepaid debit card pilot, remember that? That ended last year in 2024. They were getting $350 a week per family of 4 for food and baby supplies, etc. A total of $3.2 to $53 million, depending. Chicago and other blue cities spent tens of millions on migrant hotel shelters, sparking backlash from Black residents who demanded their own reparation funds instead. Rightfully so. These are humanitarian shelter food programs not labeled reparations by cities, excuse me, though opponents call them de facto handouts to illegals. So that's exactly what it was, de facto handouts. Now, I'm going to pause right there. When I come back, after we watch the Artemis II, the NASA Artemis II launch, I'm going to break down the past reparations and compensation programs involving immigrants and illegals, because there's 5 programs that five programs that have existed. They no longer exist. But these are programs that has given illegals and immigrants some type of restitution, some type of economic funding. So let me switch to NASA so we could watch the launch. And then I'm going to come back. Then I'm going to come back to the immigrants because, listen, this is history. They already have 1 million. How many people are watching here? Actually, let me make this bigger. $1.8 million people are watching this right now.
Photos of the condition that they observed has been there since 2025.
Sir, the Artemis CSOs are go.
Oh, shit.
Range weather.
I'm so
Launch
excited.
is go.
Thank you, LWO and Artemis MMT Chair.
MMTs go.
Thank you, John. And Integrity Launch Director.
10 minutes.
Charlie PLT.
I think it's 10 minutes.
Thank you, Charlie. This is Victor. We are going for our families. MS1.
This is Christina. We are going for our teammates.
MS2.
This is Jeremy. We are going for all humanity.
All right, Charlie, your Artemis II crew is go for launch. Full send.
I copy that. Reed, Victor, Christina, and Jeremy. On this historic mission, you take with you the heart of this Artemis team, the daring spirit of the American people and our partners across the globe, and the hopes and dreams of a new generation. Good luck. Godspeed, Artemis II. Let's go.
Oh, wow. This is so exciting.
And into the launch director.
Go ahead, Launch Director.
No, it's
Yes,
not
sir.
fake.
You have a go to proceed with countdown.
Copy that. I'll put it in work. CDR entity.
Go.
Your risers and initiate short purge per your EPROC 10.1.1, steps 8 and 9.
10.1.1, 8, 9, going to work.
Copy. CVSE NTD, start and verify recordings of our Orion cameras.
Copy.
Okay. Well, there you heard it.
RSR NTD.
RSR.
They're getting ready to start terminal count.
Arm rotation enable at this time, please.
It's currently at T-minus 10 minutes. Once we wrap up this last bit of work,
SNA arm rotation enable complete.
we're going to start that clock.
Copy that, thank you.
All right, so in 10 minutes, well, they're going to start the clock in 10 minutes. Do you guys remember?
You heard an issue, worked in real time with telemetry lock on the Orion. It was transitory. It was very short. They checked the data, confirmed that they had a good lock. This was with the S-band transmitter on the Orion. Worked through that issue, looked at the data, and cleared it. All with the world watching.
Over 2
Impressive
million
work by
people
the launch team.
on
We have a 2-hour
the
window,
NASA YouTube channel, just 2
which
million.
starts in just a few minutes at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time and goes until 8:24 p.m. Eastern Time.
And ECL NTD will be waiting for your verification on the short purge.
ECL copies.
And for all personnel, once we get that short purge verification, we'll verify that we are clear to go, and then we'll proceed with the terminal count.
55,000 people are waiting. I don't understand this. At 6:30. Everybody is streaming this right now. 1.8 million people are watching on NASA. What?
ECL time estimate?
About a minute.
Copy.
Put a 1 in the chat if you guys remember the Challenger. Where were you when the Challenger exploded? I was 10 in school,
So
and we
going
were
into the
so
launch
excited because it
window.
was a teacher that was on board. Oh
Not
my
by much, it
God.
looks like.
Go
Just
Queen
wrapping up
Eagles,
some
please.
final work. And once that's completed, you'll hear NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding ask for the ground launch sequencer operator to go ahead and start the clock. The ground launch sequencer is an application software.
Yeah, put a
Runs
1
on
in the
top of
chat,
launch
guys,
control
if you
system in the
remember
fire
the
room. Acts
Challenger.
like a conductor of an orchestra,
That
executing
was so
hundreds
sad.
of commands in precise order and timing.
And if you
It's
remember,
all autonomous.
Entity CCL 212, short purge initiations verified.
All right, copy that. And we're verifying our constraints.
and if you remember, the program never really promoted launching anything in outer space after that. That was like in the 80s. They don't talk, and it's like every kid right now, every school kid right now should be at home watching this, or if you're on the West
GLS
Coast
copies.
after school having the
3,
television up watching
2,
this.
1, mark. GLS mainline has been initiated.
T-minus 10 minutes and counting.
And that begins terminal count. Our new T0 is 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. 6:35 p.m. Eastern Time. We are now counting down to liftoff of Artemis II.
Oh my
From now on,
God.
you're going to hear 2 voices on the loops. If everything goes nominally, NASA Test Director Jeff Spaulding, who's directly managing the launch team, and Alex Bendelos, the GLS operator who closely monitors the software.
Oh, I
He has
wish I
the
was
ability
there in
to stop and
Florida.
restart the countdown. A lot of people ask about whether there's a launch button. There certainly is not.
Flight and Rock, our new T0 is 223512.
Houston flight copies. 223512.
This is so exciting.
There you heard confirmation of the exact T0, 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time. Again, our T0 is 6:35 and 12 seconds p.m. Eastern Time.
Listen, they're not just launching into outer space. They're going to go around the moon. Like, this is a big deal, because let's just say, you know, in the 60s and the 70s, all of those 8 Apollo missions, you know, say if it was Hollywood. This isn't Hollywood. This is the real deal. So whether you believe, you know, we never went, or you believe that we did go, it's been 54 years.
This big milestone, looking to retract the crew access arm.
GLS is go for crew access arm retract.
And there you see the crew access arm moving away.
And I don't even like science, but I like this.
That's the path that the astronauts took to ingress into the rocket. Until this point, that was their way off the pad if they needed to evacuate. But now with that arm retracting, the backup transitions to a launch abort system, and they'll begin arming that shortly. Of course, the launch abort system, great shot there of the crew access arm retracting away. The launch abort system is the tower at the top, and that's what would pull Orion and its crew off the top of the rocket in case of an emergency, whether it's on the ground or in flight. This is critical safety hardware that protects the lives of the astronauts.
Oh my God, I'm so excited. I would never get into a spaceship. I think that.
T-minus 6 minutes, the GLS will start bringing that
I'm scared of roller coasters.
systems online, starting with core stage pressurization.
We're going to talk about the illegals after they launch. I had to put it on pause, honey, because this is history today. I would never get into a space rocket to go to outer space. I don't want to go to outer space. I don't.
Weather is 90% go. The range is go. All systems are go.
Now, when I, die and
GLS is go for core stage tank
and go to heaven, I'll be amongst the stars. Other than that,
That
I
means
don't
the
want to go
replenish
to
valve for the liquid hydrogen tank has now closed, and that tank is beginning to pressurize to flight levels because that hydrogen is naturally boiling inside the tank.
5
the liquid
minutes.
Oxygen tank a little later in the count. Now the team is waiting for verification that, if needed, the Artemis II crew could use the launch abort system to pull Orion safely off the top of the rocket in an emergency. Let's listen in for that call.
GLS verifies last capability available.
And CDR, do you copy?
CDR copies, last available.
That's great news, and you heard the NTD verify that with the commander of the mission.
GLS is go for FTS arm.
Now work is being done to arm the flight termination system. This is so the range safety can send a flight termination
All
command
positive
if the rocket
vibes.
flies too far off track. There's a brief built-in delay, so the launch abort system has time to pull the astronauts to
GLS is
safety
go for
first.
LH2 high flow bleed check.
All right, the high flow bleed check. That's so the cryo team gets verification that the RS-25 engines, all 4 of them, are in the proper temperature range for launch.
So guys, let me just ask the question. Put a 1 if you remember the Challenger. And then tell me where you were at when the Challenger exploded. Is that wrong for me to say that now when this is about to launch?
GLS is go for core stage APU start.
Core stage APUs start. Those are auxiliary power units. High-speed turbines which provide pressure to hydraulic pumps that steer the RS-25 engines. We're going to see a gimbal test a little later at T-minus 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This is what allows that to happen.
Ciao.
Coming up in about 20 seconds, we're listening for go for purge sequence 4. That's a helium purge of the 4 core stage engines downstream of the propellant valve. This gets all the air and moisture out of there.
You're in the 8th grade library. Wow, you remember that.
GLS is go for purge sequence
I'm not
4.
juicing that.
Moving through
Yeah,
the
I'm home.
milestones. All is looking good. Coming up in just a few seconds, we're going to get that thrust vector control actuator test. This is a gimbaling of the engines. There are the 4 RS-25s, 3 of them Shuttle Heritage, 1 of them built from shuttle parts. And there you see them moving.
I mean, it is fascinating. You have engineers that create
Now we're going to
this.
start moving the power from both the upper stage and the lower stage of the rocket to internal, taking ground power away and now going to battery power.
GLS is go for upper stage to internal power.
All right, power is removed from the rocket's upper stage, the ICPS, and it's been switched to battery. Same milestone for the lower core stage coming up at T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds. Right now, the 4-person Artemis II crew is 248,000 miles away from the moon. And if all goes well, they will fly by it in 6 days.
GLS is go for core stage to internal power.
All right, there's the rocket's core stage, which houses 3 flight computers, is now on its own power.
Wow. Y'all
No
are
more
so.
hold time because
I'll
there's
be
no
into
more margin
negative
on these
passport.
batteries.
Less
So
than a
we'd have
minute.
to
Well, 1
recycle back to
minute.
T-minus 10 to recharge if we had a hold.
1 minute. And so
1 minute.
Right now, the
NASA.
rocket does not know what the T0 is, but coming up at T-minus 33 seconds, control shifts from the ground launch sequencer to the rocket's onboard autonomous launch sequencer, or ALS. The rocket will count itself down, but honor any holds that could come from the ground. Now, shortly after liftoff, Houston will take control of the rocket, and my colleague Gary Jordan will take over commentary.
I'm not delayed, am I? Okay.
GLS is go for ALS.
Great call out. The rocket is on its own. 4 brave explorers
I'm
ready to ride
delayed.
the most powerful rocket NASA has ever launched. Sound suppression water is flowing.
15.
And here we go.
Oh, shoot.
10, 9, 8,
7,
7. RS-25 engines
5,
lit.
4,
4,
3.
3, 2, 1. Booster ignition.
Lift off.
And lift off. The crew of Artemis II now bound for the moon. Humanity's next great voyage begins.
I love that. Oh my God, I'm so excited.
Good roll pitch.
Roger, roll pitch.
I'm watching on NASA.
Flight of integrity on the Artemis II mission around the moon.
Integrity, AMT high.
AMT high.
On time, passing 30 seconds into the flights.
Maybe I am.
This is the ultimate beacon. Target milestone. Mission Control Houston.
Am I delayed? I don't know. Some people say I am, but
Launch system core stage. Integrity. 3 miles in altitude. traveling more than 1,200 miles per hour.
What is that? Oh my God, is that dark? Wow, that is so cool, yo.
Mission elapsed time, passing 1 minute, approaching max Q.
On, Ponce de Leon.
Oh, here I go. Now they're out. Now they're in outer space. So the other one was slightly delayed. So that was the actual launch. This is the break
launch
off.
abort system jettison.
Houston integrity, good last jettison, great view.
Copy, jettison. Team Eco 8+02.
We see the same on board, Stan.
3 million people watching on
And Houston
this.
has you loud and clear on Tidris at the Carmen line.
Outstanding, Stan. We have you the same.
3 minutes 50 seconds into the flight of Artemis II, Wiseman, Glover, Cook, and Hansen crossed the boundary to space with good comm checks. GPS signals acquired after last jettison now working on internal checks to verify accuracy. Flight Dynamics Officer analyzed the time of main engine cutoff, confirmed at 8 minutes 2 seconds, time of MECO.
Wow, that was awesome. It was not AI generated. No, it was not. You have witnesses of people that were there, and you get to see it with all the smoke. Look at that. Oh my God.
Integrity, GPS processing.
That's a big deal.
Outstanding, Stan. We see the same, and we have a beautiful moonrise. We're headed right at it.
Wow.
Approaching 5 minutes into the flight, Commander Reed Wiseman confirms he has visuals of his destination. GPS guidance, navigation, and control software finishes internal checks and sends to navigation channels.
Okay, but you said anyone could follow them with a telescope, but don't you need a really big telescope?
Engine press.
It can't be just any telescope.
3-engine press.
On time, now passing 5 minutes 20 seconds of mission elapsed time into the Artemis II mission. At this point, 3 good main engines are all that's needed to carry integrity to a nominal main engine cutoff target. Though at this time, we're seeing 4 good engines here in Mission Control Houston. Integrity, 75 miles in altitude, 330 miles downrange, approaching 10,000 miles per hour.
Oh, it's a full moon today. And maybe that's why they picked today, because it was going to be a full moon. So you get to see the whole moon. Yes. See, all of that goes into consideration on what day.
Integrity, looking good at 6 minutes.
Isn't it a solstice today too? Ciao. Oh my God, that was so exciting.
Good trajectory and engine performance.
Yes, I am in a happy place. Yes.
Plan to Flight Director Judd Friedling expected at the 7-minute mark.
This is cool.
Integrity, 78 miles in altitude, 460 miles downrange.
Integrity, expect nominal shutdown.
All right. We got to get back to business though. Got to get back to business. Oh my God. That was so much fun. Maybe I should have just had the show about the rocket launch. I don't know. Do we call it a spaceship, rocket ship? What do we call it? I don't know. What if the Kilogons caught them inside? Who knows? So yeah, so all right, so they're taking it back there. So let's get back to the regular programming. Yay for Artemis. All right. Now we're gonna get back, Tony, to the reparations and illegals and the birthright citizenship. So let me get my notes. Past reparations or compensation programs involving immigrants and illegals. No federal cash reparation program has ever existed specifically for undocumented immigrants, illegals as a class, Searches of history and current law turn up zero examples of taxpayer-funded reparation payments made because someone entered or stayed illegally. However, in 1988 Civil Liberties Act, Japanese American internment reparations, they were paid $20,000 each, a total of $1.6 billion, a formal apology, 82 survivors of World War II internment camps. Recipients were overwhelmingly U.S. citizens or legal Japanese immigrants, not illegals. This remains the main U.S. precedent for immigrant group redress. So, when the Japanese American internment reparations were handed out, they were actual citizens or they were here legally. And then now we have the Barcero, BRACERO program that was 1942 to 1964. Mexican guest workers, legal temporary workers had 10% of wages withheld for supposed savings accounts in Mexico. Many never received the money. Mexico later paid small settlements, $2,000 to $3,500 per claimant in 2008 and 2009. But I think interest should have accrued with that. But anyway, the U.S. government did not pay anything for the Barcero program. And now you have the Trump era family separations. That was in 2018. Lawsuits by separated migrant families, many of whom crossed illegally or presented at ports, led to a Biden era settlement negotiations in 2021. Media reported potential payouts up to $450,000 per person. Are you kidding me? The White House called the high figures garbage, and talks largely collapsed without broad payments. Some individual claims were settled quietly, but this was lawsuit compensation for specific family separation trauma, not blanketed reparations for all undocumented immigrants. However, you mean to tell me that there were some illegal families that got $450,000 under the Trump era family separations? $450,000. Where did they get that number from, these Democrats? Number one, $450,000 per person for foundational Black Americans, not illegals. So how did they even get that number, 450,000 for per illegal family? Well, per person. And actually, some of the payments was paid out pending certain lawsuits. That's crazy. But no one wants to talk about Black Americans. No one. Barely even Black Americans. Thank you, Alonzo. I'm late, but I'm here, Dana, listening always. Thank you. People have a problem when Tariq Nasheed, other content creators, grassroots organization starts talking about reparations. Why? When the Democrats, you get mad at a Chile or a Nick Cannon, you get mad when Black people voted for Trump, but you same Democrats came out with $450,000 per illegal under the Biden administration. You didn't say people of color or minorities for illegals because they were separated and they were traumatized. State and local excluded workers fund. This is 2020 to 2024. California, New York, and few others created a one-time COVID unemployment style payment or debit cards for undocumented workers excluded from federal aid. New York paid out $2 billion. California gave them $500 cards. These were pandemic relief, not called reparations, and not tied to immigration reinforcement trauma. And now currently you have Representative Jaya Paul, her proposal, reparations to family children traumatized by ICE deportations. This is just rhetoric. Is no bill, is no funding, is no votes yet. Like I said, If the Democrats were in Congress in November, it is going to be a bill. It is going to be funding, and they're going to have the votes to get it passed. So now that brings me to Black Americans. What are Black Americans saying? What are we saying? All right, too many commercials. YouTube been having a lot of commercials lately. So, of course, roly poly. Oh, no. This isn't it. Wait a minute. That's the birthright, which is somewhat of the same. Oh, yeah. I am getting to the birthright. But wait a minute. I need to go here. And I need to add this. What in the heck am I doing here? Oh, this is cool. I have no what I'm doing. Child, let me go back here. Because I'm just pressing buttons. All right. Stop sharing. And then let me just share this. Jeez. Today's the 1st. Yeah. So there were protesters outside of SCOTUS. Actually, let me bring this up here. Bear with me. Where is it? Oh, here we go. It's not that hard. It can't be this hard. It cannot. I need an assistant. Shit. We have Reverend Barber protesting outside of the Supreme Court today.
Everybody say it. Got to open your mouth. Come on.
Oh, no, I'm not. He got the music. So you have a lot of Black people protesting in support of illegals. Why? I don't know. It has nothing to do with us. So Black public figures in civil rights groups such as the NAACP, Roland Martin, Reverend Barber, and others who oppose Trump's effort to limit birthright citizenship argue that it threatens Black American citizenship for these main reasons. So they are protesting the Trump administration to add an asterisk next to the 14th Amendment because they're saying if the Trump administration gets a win, have it their way from the Supreme Court to amend the 14th Amendment, it's going to harm Black people. Let me just say this. Is actually going to protect us more than harm us. But here are the reasons why the Black idiots, the Black American idiots, believe that Trump effort to limit birthright citizenship would threaten Black Americans. Here are their reasons. They're saying the 14th Amendment ratified in 1868 was explicitly passed after the Civil War to overturn the infamous Dred Scott decision of 1857, which had ruled that Black people enslaved or free could never be U.S. citizens. Its citizenship clause, all persons born or naturalized United States are subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens, was designed to guarantee automatic citizenship to Black people born on U.S. soil and protect them from being treated as perpetual outsiders or second-class citizens. They view any attempt to narrow or reinterpret the clause, even if it's aimed only at children of undocumented immigrants or temporary visa holders, they are viewing it as an attack on the entire foundation of the 14th Amendment. Once the broad soil-based rule is weakened by executive order or court ruling, it could create a slippery slope where citizenship becomes more conditional, subjective, or even open to future challenges based on race, ancestry, and loyalty. Why is that ridiculous? That is ridiculous. Because we have the 13th, 14th, and the 15th Amendment that protects not just only Black Americans, but all Americans. Because you have to understand, we're not the only ones. We're not the only ones, because you have Irish, you have, whether it's Middle Eastern, people from Spain, you have people from other countries who've been here for centuries. Then they too will be so-called in jeopardy. So you cannot listen. And there's a reason why you have people like Roland Martin and NAACP and Reverend Barber that are champion illegals. And that is because they are paid by organizations, wealthy organizations that are putting money in their personal pockets to tote these talking points. Everyone on a Congressional Black Caucus is paid and bought. They do not represent Black America at all. These public figures like Roland Martin, Reverend Barber, NAACP, they are not here to represent Black people. They're not. Historically, free Black people often had to carry freedom papers to prove their status. Critics fear that eroding birthright citizenship will revive the burden. What burden? More Americans, especially people of color, could face demands to constantly prove their citizenship. Increased scrutiny, detention errors, or return to rationalize the definitions of who truly belongs here as American. So basically, these Black people are saying that why? Because I look Black and it may think I'm Haitian? No, that's not how it works. They think that we may be held in detention by ICE by accident. That's not true either. So in short, the Black idiots frame Trump's policy not as a narrow immigration fix, but as the first step to undermining the Reconstruction era protections that finally secure full citizenship rights for Black Americans after centuries of denial. This is why they tie the opposition to immigration restrictions directly to defending Black citizenship itself. How stupid was that? But that's the reason why. That is the reason that these Black idiots are giving.
When you got a lie, you got to scream. But when you got the truth, all you got to do is say amen. Say amen. Let the children live. Say amen. Let the children rise. Say amen. Let the children have their rights. Say amen. Let the children have their citizenship. Say an amen. And to all of those that thought they could divide Black versus brown and brown versus Asian, well, you got another thought coming. You have not divided us. You have united us. Grab your brother or your sister by the hand and say, we are together. now and forever. And we will never, never, ever allow the rights of our children to be taken away.
They don't have rights like that because they're not citizens. And like he said, Black, brown, Asian, again, these type of people are trying to include and lump the Somalians, the illegals, the Hispanics, the Asians, the Indians into foundational Black American history, our historical suffering, our, issues that we have now. They're trying to include those people into our plight. But when it's for them, when you have Representative Jalapal saying that illegals need to have reparations, she of Indian descent, i.e. Asian descent, has never uttered the words reparations for Black Americans, foundational Black Americans. Never even said it, never fought for it, never said she agreed to it, never even talked about, never even uttered the syllables. But you have this fat ass preacher up here saying Black, brown, Asian, all around, we need to come together because all children have rights. But the congressional representatives in Congress, Democrats, are only focused on illegals and immigrants. So why is it that these prominent Black figures, so-called prominent Black figures, public figures, why is it that they are always placating to this, can we all just get along? We are all one. Let's all come together. Black people are the only ones wanting to include everybody else, but everybody else are not including us. They're looking out for their specific group. And that is why they surpass us economically and in education and in family rearing. That is why they surpass us. Let's get to some more videos here I wanted to play. I'm not going too much into what SCOTUS talked about today, only because Judge Joe Brown is going to be breaking it down tomorrow when we record for Injustice for All. This wasn't it.
The first sitting president to attend oral arguments here at the Supreme Court. Trump came for the Birthright Citizenship case as the court weighed whether his executive order limiting it is constitutional. John Sawyer, the Solicitor General of the United States, argued for the administration. One particular moment stood out when conservative Chief Justice John Roberts dismissed the argument that 8 billion people are just a plane ride away from birthright citizenship.
We're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out to, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Meanwhile, another conservative justice seemed to agree, at least in part, with the administration.
What we're dealing with here is something that was basically unknown at the time when the 14th Amendment was adopted, which is illegal immigration. So how do we deal with that situation when we have a general rule?
Yeah, I strongly agree with the way that you framed it, that there is a general principle, that's a broad principle that's adopted in the phrase subject to the jurisdiction thereof. And we submit that our theory of allegiance and domicile-based allegiance is what explains those specific exceptions that everybody was aware of, but it is broad enough to sweep in future situations.
Just outside, a large number of protesters gathered to show support for birthright citizenship and the 14th Amendment, which states, quote, all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and of the state wherein they reside.
Anytime that somebody trying to change the Constitution, I don't agree with it. So I stand with constitutionalism.
People who were born here are United States citizens, period. Doesn't matter where the parents came from. If you were born here, the Constitution states and it protects us, so you can't go changing it.
Overall, the Supreme Court.
And why did they pick the two black niggas to say some dumb shit like that?
Appeared skeptical of Trump's bid to limit birthright citizenship. Reporting for Newsweek from Washington, I'm Leonardo Feldman.
Based on Chinese media reports, there are 500 birth tourism companies in the People's Republic of China whose business is to bring people here to give birth and return to that nation.
Having said all that, you do agree that that has no impact on the legal analysis before us?
I think it's, I quote what Justice Scalia said in his Hamdan dissent, where their interpretation has these implications that could not possibly have been approved by the 19th century framers of this amendment. I think that shows that they've made a mess. Their interpretation has made a mess of the provision.
Well, it certainly wasn't a problem in the 19th century.
No, but of course, we're in a new world now, as Justice Alito pointed out to, where 8 billion people are one plane ride away from having a child who's a U.S. citizen.
Well, it's a new world. It's the same Constitution.
Look at these two coaches. Coach on the left posts every single day, gets 47 views, maybe 2 likes.
6 people have been charged in an elaborate birth tourism scheme. It's aimed at helping Turkish women secure U.S. citizenship for their babies. And according to federal prosecutors, it's costing American taxpayers more than $2 million. NBC News senior investigative producer Anna Schechter joins us now. Anna, good to see you. So first of all, tell us more about this alleged scheme and how prosecutors say they pulled it off.
Well, this has been going on for about 3 years. There was a ring of 6 people involved. You had somebody in Turkey helping with marketing to Turkish women and their families. They were running Facebook pages, websites with "Your baby should be born in America." And this isn't anything new. I've been tracking this for about 15 years, actually, and we've known about birth tourism as sort of an industry for about 20 years, and Turkish women have been coming. But why this is so interesting is they were actually bilking Medicaid. So they had a couple people in the ring who were trained to help people sign up for Medicaid. And they were lying on those applications saying that these women actually were New York residents who were destitute, who had no money. And so that would pave the way for all their health care being covered. And
let me pause that right there, because what is going on right now, JD Vance he set up the task force, the fraud task force, particularly going after people who was fraud in the healthcare system, Medicaid, Medicare. And this video here is actually from 5 years ago. This is from 5 years ago. So I'm glad that JD Vance is setting up that task force, because now we're going to see a lot of people get arrested because of this. This has been talked about for years. Birth tourism, scamming our system, illegals.
And the amount is staggering, $2.1 million at least, that prosecutors could track. So that's what's really interesting about this case. I've never seen that before in all the years that I've been covering this, where taxpayer dollars are coming into this. Usually it's wealthy women who are shelling out up to $50,000 or $100,000 US dollars to come here, give birth, and they get that American passport, which is worth, one, it's a status symbol. 2, the children, when they're older, can more easily attend university here. And when they're 21, they can actually start the process to legally bring the rest of the family over to the United States.
Now, Anna, these are known as, quote, birth houses. What more can you tell us about how the ringleaders allegedly set them up?
Well, they rented about 6 houses all over Long Island, so the outskirts of New York City, and they were operating so brazenly. It's incredible. They were actually signing up 119 women at least using the same address. So you see photos there up on the screen. That's one of the houses where they actually obtained wiretaps and then were able to surveil, and they would see pregnant women coming and going, and you see the three of the sort of inner circle of the people who were operating this scheme. And they made tons of money, because not only were they getting the Medicaid money, but the Turkish women were also spending about $7,500 for this whole package, which is actually, if you can believe it, it's a lot cheaper than a lot of the other women who have come to do this. Like from China, you see extremely wealthy people who just pay all in cash. and they spend a few months and they get an American baby. And it's really unique to the United States because of our 14th Amendment. If you're born on U.S. soil, you have access to get that U.S. citizenship. And other Western countries like Australia, the UK, they've actually scaled back and changed their laws so that you can't do this, but we have not. Interestingly, President Trump, during his campaign in 2015, he was calling to sort of shut this down. It's a really tricky issue because the amount of babies that do get born and for this purpose as birth tourism is probably not that huge. But Trump's inner circle, like the Stephen Millers of the world, they sort of wave this flag of birth tourism as being a huge problem. But this is actually an extremely interesting case. It's hard to.
Well, that's where I disagree with her. It is a problem because they're scamming our system. They are coming here, lying on applications to get free health care, Medicaid, right? All of these tangible resources, and we're paying it, the taxpayers. That's our tax dollars paying for their illegal babies. But you know who's making money? The people who are setting up their flights, the people who are setting up, these baby tourist hotels, because they have to pay them $10,000, $20,000, $50,000 in order to illegally give birth here on this soil. But we are footing the bill, and these scammers are making crazy money off our backs. So this is a huge problem because it is fraud. But this is NBC, so they're all about liberal Democrats BS anyway. But yeah, so and this is 5 years ago. Now, and mind you, this is 5 years ago before Biden and Kamala Harris got into office. And look what happened when they got into office. They opened up the borders and tens and millions of illegals flooded into this country. So when people sit here and say Trump is a racist, Trump is insane, Trump don't know what he's doing, it is the opposite. It is the opposite.
Office when those issues came up. And so this right-wing court, positioned by the Fair Society, positioned by the right wing, this is really the mother lode for them. They were focused on, yes, Roe v. Wade. They were focused on 14th Amendment. And they also want to completely invalidate 1965 Voting Rights Act. And so people need to understand what we're dealing with here. The Supreme Court is the final arbiter. There's no one above them. And so when people say, well, you can pass a law to overturn the decision, but here's a law that was already passed that has been on the books since 1868 that they very well could invalidate and rule unconstitutional.
And you have hit the nail directly on the head. We have seen the Supreme Court time and time and time again rule against black letter law, against well-established precedent, to just follow whatever it is that President Trump wants.
And see, this is why, listen, I respect Roland Martin, what he does at profession. He knows how to be a journalist, but he is clearly pushing a bullshit narrative. He is pushing a false narrative. And the people who he invites on his show is also, co-signing this type of rhetoric. And it's a black show, so it's all black people. And they're on this Democrat slave train. I'm sorry. They're on that Democrat slave plantation. I'm not playing much of this because it's just pure nonsense. Now, I want to play this man here because he is the only one that ever taught common sense. And Dr. Claude Anderson should be revered as one of the greatest Black Americans ever. He wrote books with an actual plan for Black Americans to follow to prevent us from being a permanent underclass. He spoke at lectures. He is qualified. He worked for White House administrations. I believe it was the Carter administration. So he has experience in the economy. He's older now. He's retired, but we could still get his books, read his books, and implement, those tactics. So this is the only person that mainly spoke the truth to the immigration problem that we have here in America.
influx of immigrants into the country. And that's what Dr. Price is talking about. And nobody, no black politician, no black organization wants to deal with that issue. They will avoid it at all costs, even though in their hearts they know that's one of the biggest problems for black folk. We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 8 to 6 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians.
And by the way, this was over 10 years ago. This video here, I believe, is about 20 years ago.
You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the #2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being #2. You're going to go down and become #4. Now, common sense, even a third grade education would tell you, if you didn't get anything when you were #2, you all jumped ahead of me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get when you become #4. And the worst part about it is as you descend and go down to #4, those other groups are going to go up. And as they go past you, you're going to have major racial clashes in this country.
Yes.
You have fights all over this country between blacks and Hispanics, blacks and Asians, blacks and poor whites. And black folk cannot fight all these groups. Everybody can not always be against black folk.
So again, everything this man said has already came to fruition. It already happened. It's happening in real time because it already happened and is not going away anytime soon. So when Trump, is going to taking this case up, the 14th Amendment up to the Supreme Court, it is definitely in favor for Black Americans. It helps us more than it will ever harm us. Okay, that's it with that. Let me share my X. I have some X clips that I want to get to.
Here, I promise that if you love America, America will always love you back. Birthright citizenship is not a loophole. It is a promise. A promise that if you are born here, you belong here. A promise that if you love America, America will always love you back.
That's not true. And this is the problem that I have with immigrants. America will not love you back.
Actually, that's going to place blacks in a permanent status of underclassship. And we anticipate by that point in time, based on all the research that's coming to us, that the next generation of whites are going to be more anti-black than they've been since the Civil Rights Movement. 2, we anticipate by the same token about 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and about 41 million Asians by that point in time, which is going to kick black folk out of being the minority in the society down to a minority. We've been #2 in the society for 400 years as a group. We're going to become #4. And if we have not gotten anything after being #2 for 400 years, you guess what's going to happen when we become #4. Because at that point in time, all the new groups coming into America, they're coming in higher than we are because this country operates off of a preferential acceptance program, which means that groups are coming in based on skin color, going from the lightest down to the darkest, light, yellow, brown, black. And that's what our immigration laws are based on. And black folk will not be able to penetrate through those groups to get to the white society when that happens, because those groups owe us nothing. They don't understand our problems, and they are competitive with us, and we don't begin to be a little more aggressive about being in a competitive posture. They're going to eat our lunches. Actually.
And this is what I'm saying, what is it that we don't comprehend Dr. Claude's message that he had for, and still continue to have for Black Americans? What is it that we're not understanding with that? That is a real thing that is happening in real time. We are a permanent underclass. Dr. Joy DeGruy, I love her work. And what she says here in this clip speaks volumes. Because when you have the representative Jayapal laying out for 2 hours why illegals and the children and the family need reparation because they're traumatized, right? And this is what pisses me off. Don't ever expect, why do people expect Black people to vote Democrat? Why? They do not represent Black Americans. They don't like Black Americans. They don't want nothing to do with us. They just feed us a lie and want us to vote for them. And it's not that all Republicans are better. I'm not loyal to any party. I am going to vote, but I'm not loyal to any party. And I am not ashamed to constantly shout and fight for reparations for Black Americans because, yes, we are owed that. We are. We are owed that from trauma. We are owed that because there were generational wealth stolen from us. When you look at the Black farmers, at one point, Black Americans, 90% of Black Americans own land, farmland. It's less than 10% now. That is a problem. We are the ones that need actual repair. So why is it that Democrats, they advocate for everyone else, even white Americans, before they can ever or will ever do anything for Black Americans?
339 years of trauma, no help. Freed, no help. Critical question. Did the trauma continue? So you have to ask yourself, in 339 years, did anybody help us with trauma? People being beaten, raped, sold, mutilated, experimented on, all kind of horrific things. 339 years with total impunity. People could do whatever they wanted to do to a human being from birth to death. 339, no help. Nobody came to help us, right? No Dr. Phil, no, great, incredible psychologist or therapist giving us, nobody did that. Then we got freed. Great. Anybody help us then? Did anybody say, I know they sold your son and your daughter. I know that you were raped repeatedly from the time you were 7. I know all that. Did anybody help us? 339 years of trauma, no help. Freed, no help. Critical question. Did the trauma continue? You bet it did. Long after slavery, all the way up to George Floyd. We know that the trauma continued. Did anyone ever help us? And then they told us you don't get to talk about it. We're not anything other than a miracle. We're a miracle is what Black people are, because we've done everything we've done with no help.
Yeah, Dr. Joy DeGruy, she's overlooked as well. Brilliant. But she's absolutely right. No one came to help us. Traumatized. Every century, every turn of the century, every decade, every public policy, everything. Traumatized, no help. We always helped ourselves. And that's a good statement. We are a miracle. We're a miracle. How did Black Americans in this country last and prosper? There are a lot of prosperous Black Americans. It's a miracle. You have all of these different, you have African countries, Ghana, what have you, Nigeria, coming over here, wanting to take our reparations and then lumping in with theirs, the African Union. Essence, they come here, participate in our culture, which is fine, but then want to remix it and make it their home and bring it back over there to Africa. No. But if it was those same Africans, if it was Nigerians, Ghana, it doesn't matter. Any Africans, a group of Africans today having to endure what Black Americans did, let's just start from right after slavery, they wouldn't have lasted. They would still be in chains. Yeah. It would still be Jim Crow here in America. It would have never been a Martin Luther King or a Malcolm X if the Africans of today were over here and had to experience what Black Americans experienced. Let's just start with 1865. I say all that to say it is a miracle how we lasted here in this nation. Somebody sent me this video of this Black man. You see the way he eat that biscuit? I found it so funny. This was so fascinating and funny. And I wanted to share it because he was like, he's a Democrat. I could tell that this Black guy here, he is a Democrat. Just by the way he eating that biscuit, those Popeyes. I'll get back to that later. I wanted to play this. In Zambia, retaliating against U.S. citizens for immigration in the U.S. So this Black woman here took her ass over to Zambia. Temporary visa. I guess you could stay for like 3 months and then you gotta get the hell up out of there. But honey, she stayed past her visa time. And I think they took her kids. I'm gonna play this video. It's about 7 minutes. But see, illegals here, you get picked up, you get put in a camp, and you get deported. Other countries, they make you pay thousands of dollars before they set you free before you could get on that plane. But my thing is, girl, how can you forget to leave the country or to renew your temporary status? How do you forget that in Zimbabwe? Zambia.
My name is Elizabeth McMillan. I'm currently in Lusaka, Zambia with my 3 children. During this time of us being here, I overstayed on my visa. When I went to exit the country, I was not allowed to exit. We were held at the airport and then taken to immigration, where I was fined and asked to pay 24,000 kwacha. I was told multiple prices that I needed to pay. They finally settled on 24,000 after telling me that my children were not minors, that my children should be paid for as well. They finally decided I could pay 24,000 kwacha after telling them, yes, my children are minors by Zambian standards and American standards. There's nowhere where it says that my children's ages do not make them minors. Because of the way that their payment systems are set up here, I had to transfer money into my cell phone and then transfer it to them. They were not able to accept my phone tapping their point of sale here, so I had to send money through the phone and found out that there was only 20,000 that could be sent per day. During the sending of that 20,000, they wanted the entire 24,000, so because I wasn't able to pay that all at once, I was put into detention, spent the night in jail until I could pay the rest due to the phone system not allowing me to pay everything. Once I paid everything, I was told that my children would be returned to me since they were taken the day before while I was in detention. I was told that the next day after I got out, I would meet them at the immigration office. They would come, everything would be fine. I would be reunited with my children. That didn't happen. Immigration cleared me. However, I was not allowed to be reunited with my children, though this is what I was told would happen. The next day, there was a holiday, so they said that they would not be able to reunite us then, but they would reunite us on that Friday. All of this started on the 10th of March. So on that Friday, when Friday came, I went to the immigration office expecting to see my children, expecting us to go and prepare to leave the country as requested. However, I was told no, I would not receive my children then either. I've been told multiple things by multiple people as far as what is going on with my children, none of which is adding up. Immigration says one thing, child welfare here in Zambia says another thing, but yet I still have not been told exactly why I cannot be reunited with my children. I've paid all the fines. I've been cleared to stay in the country until a certain date. I've also bought tickets to leave the country, and still my children have not been returned. During this process, I asked the person from child welfare who I had contact with basic questions about my children, which I was told to do by the embassy. I was told to do by immigration. They all told me to stay in contact with her and ask questions through her so that I can find out about how my children are doing and things like that. While doing that, I asked basic questions. Are my children taking medications? Are my children being cared for properly? Are they going to school? What about their schooling? I mean, there's nothing that was asked of me when all of this process started. They don't know about my children's special needs. They don't know about anything pertaining to my children. The only questions I was asked when my children were taken were my age, what I do for income, as well as how much I was paying to live in Zambia, all of which I answered. 41 years old. My children have, done everything that they're supposed to do. They're not criminals here. I've paid all of the fines. Everything has been done. I told them that I was paying $80 per night to stay in Zambia in an Airbnb, which I have receipts for, and I can show those. So, I mean, one person at immigration told me that they felt like I didn't have enough money to sustain my children. And obviously, if I'm paying $80 per night for my children to live, I obviously have the money to sustain my children. Since all of this has happened, the woman that I was speaking with, the only contact that I had through child welfare, has blocked
shit, I
my
was
number.
muted.
She refuses to talk to me. However, she has gone to
You know what? That's always it's not my fear, but I'm always like subconscious about that. Like, okay, I got to make sure that I'm not muted. And it always happened. Sometimes when I'm doing this show and I mute myself because, I'm petting my dog or I'm looking at something over here. And then it's like, okay, let me talk because I want to pause to say something about this part here. I forget that I'm muted and I keep talking. And then I look in the chat and y'all saying, no sound, no sound, no sound. Oh my God. That happened to me several times before. And what I was saying was good. So, honey, let me run it back. Let me run it back. What I was saying. When I paused it, I said, there are missing holes in her story. Number one, where is your lawyer? She has not mentioned anything about a lawyer. An international lawyer, you should have. The U.S. Embassy should somehow refer you to a lawyer. Is she relocating to Zambia or is she vacationing? Because I don't understand. How can you forget the date that your temporary status was expiring? Who forgets that? And you're in Zambia, the jungle, honey. They probably got some cities, but still, that's deep in Africa somewhere. You are an American. They don't see you as black. They see you as an American. So they expect for you to have a whole bunch of money to pay all these stupid fines. And lastly, what I was saying is, I hope that her children are not being harmed physically, emotionally, or psychologically. Because everything that is happening here in America, as far as trafficking, kidnapping, crimes, rape, all that stuff, scamming, they do that in Africa as well. So I don't know if she's a Pan-African and she wanted to repatriate back to Africa. I don't know. It's just certain holes in this story that's not adding up. Girl, where is your lawyer? And how can you forget not to leave? That's what I said.
The orphanage where my children are being held, and with the only contact that I had through one person at immigration told me that they felt like I didn't have enough money to sustain my children. And obviously, if I'm paying $80 per night for my children to live, I obviously have the money to sustain my children. Since all of this has happened, the woman that I was speaking with, the only contact that I had through child welfare, has blocked my number. She refuses to talk to me. However, she has gone to the orphanage where my children are being held and asked my children multiple questions that no child should be answering, pertaining to medication, pertaining to mental illnesses, pertaining to everything wrong with my children. She wants to know through them. They're not capable of answering those questions, and they should not have to answer questions for their siblings. When I asked her why my children were being held exactly, she cited a section of their manual which literally says that my children have no need to be there and they should be returned to me. My children have been kept at standards higher than what Zambia even requires for their children. They've been kept at American standards the entire time that they have been here, and it should not be allowed that my children were taken. I was told yesterday that I would be allowed to drop off birthday presents for my twins and meet somebody here in Lusaka to be able to give them to the person, and they would deliver them to my children. However, there's one person, this same person, through this Department of Child Welfare, who has blocked that as well. She will not allow me to give my children birthday presents, though it was something they were expecting, something that was allowed by the orphanage where my children are. She's not allowing it. So there's literally one person who is holding up this entire process. I'm being told now that my children may not even be returned to me for us to leave the country, which is what was requested of me, and that was all I needed to do. I did everything that they requested. I booked the tickets. The flight is ready. Everything that we need is ready. I have no access to my children or any of our things. My children have everything that belongs to us, so I have not been able to work. I have not been able to make money so that my children have everything that they need, and she knows these things. Right now, I'm asking anybody that can help with getting my children back that you please help, whether that's reaching out to the president here in Zambia, whether that's reaching out to child welfare in Zambia, reaching out to the president in the United States, or anyone in the United States that may be able to help anywhere in the world. I'm asking for help with getting my children back. Today is my twins' birthday. They should be with me. They shouldn't be spending their birthday with strangers, all because of a personal vendetta that one person has against me. The only reason that I've been given that my children were taking is that it's being done in America, so it can be done here as well to me. So since Americans are doing it, it can be done to me because I'm American, is what I was told.
That ain't why. Why are you there? I think because you got child services taking your kids. I think she went to that country. She left America and went to that country for a man. It could be the baby daddy, or it could be somebody, a Zambian man. I think it was a Zambian man. And y'all got into a tiff, and he went to child services to put child services on you so that they can take your kids and just cause you all of this havoc and heartache. Because something ain't right. I'm not blaming her, but what I'm asking her is, Why were you there? How can you forget your expiration date to leave? Where is your lawyer? Where is your international lawyer? And one person cannot sit up here and say, oh, well, because they're doing that in America, we don't do that in America. We don't. If you overstay your temporary status, you and your child will leave together. She's not, I'm not saying she's lying. She's not telling the whole story. So yes, she does need help. I don't know. Black Americans are not going to reach out to the president of Zambia unless it's a Pan-African, you know. However, I think the U.S. Embassy needs to step in a little bit more. However, I do know the U.S. Embassy really don't get involved in domestic issues. And it's funny how everybody wants to call on Trump when they get in trouble. But girl, why did you take you and your kids, your black ass, over to Zambia? And how can you forget not to leave? Did you plan on staying there permanently? And if that's the case, I know you went over there because of a damn man. It's because of a man. And he done got your ass wrapped up in some bullshit over there. Stay the fuck out of these countries. Unless it's a vacation, no more than 10 days. And then leave. Stay in a nice hotel in the touristy section. And then leave. It just don't, girl, I think you wanted to live there. All you Pan-Africans, you want to reconnect to the motherland, and y'all having so many issues. So many issues. Wouldn't be me at all. Morocco, Egypt, if you are a Muslim person and you go there, that man don't even have to be your legal husband. He could be your baby daddy. Automatically, in those Arab countries and a lot of other African countries, whether you are a citizen or not, the father automatically is considered the sole guardian of the kids. A lot of times you women, you go to different countries with a man or to meet up with a man, or you meet a man there. These countries look at the man as the sole guardian. You are not permitted to leave with your children if the father says no. Even though you and your kids may be American, but if the father is not, that country government will say, no, the kids have to stay, but you could go. Stay the fuck out of these third world countries. That's all I'm going to say on that. And I hope she do get her kids back. Oh, God. I think this. What is this? No, not this one. Not this one. This is the last. This is the last thing. All of these Chick-fil-A black mammies got fired because they want to do a titty twerk on camera and upload it on social media. Chick-fil-A is a Christian corporation. Chick-fil-A is a Christian corporation. Chick-fil-A is a Christian corporation. They are closed on Sundays. They lead with Christian values. Great customer service because they're high on their customer service. Love it. I heard they pay good too. And when they have these people outside taking your order and standing outside taking your order, honey, they give them the Canadian Park goose coats in the winter. Expensive shit. But you have these black mammies doing a titty twerk and uploading it, and they all got fired. Good. Because in the Chick-fil-A HR policies and your employee handbook, you can't do none of that. First of all, you cannot gyrate anything. You cannot display anything sexual because it's a Christian company. And I'm pretty sure it has a social media clause in there. So I'm giving the fired Chick-fil-A mammies the Dusty Award. Yes, they get the Dusty Award because this makes no sense. And how is this funny? How is this amusing? All you young people, stop with the nonsense. Just stop. Yeah, people just don't have self-respect. And you know he's sweet, honey. So the Chick-fil-A mammies get the Dusty Award of the week. What is this? What is this? Nope.
And look how small the leg. Bro, I had to go get my own Popeyes today. And look how small the leg is in the wing.
Honey, why did you put biscuit like that? Let's run that back with the biscuit. Look how he put that whole biscuit in his mouth.
Bro, I had to go get my own Popeyes today. And look how small the leg is in the wing.
Damn.
The leg is in the wing.
First of all, that Popeye's biscuit look good as hell. The chicken is nice and crispy. Well, why do you put the whole biscuit in your mouth like that?
I never understand. I just don't get it. Honey good too. How? Thank you, Lord. Because this is the only way. Make sure you gotta put some honey on your chicken. Thank you, Jesus. And I'm gonna need some more hot sauce than that. Cause okay, I'm gonna tell you. I asked for like 30 of them bitches. Here go a little leg. Thank you, Jesus. Okay.
That chicken sound good though. It sound like it's
and it's fresh.
Yeah, it's very crispy.
Do a little wing her. Y'all be baking so goddamn bad. You making no sense. If you eat this part of the wing, you greedy.
Bitch, you're greedy.
Yeah. Her. The crust gonna hit every time.
It sure do. Ciao. Oh, honey. So he's the runner up for the Dusty Award of the week. He's the runner up. Oh my God. It's so funny. It's so funny. Let me get to some super chats. Listen, thank you, Alonzo. I love Alonzo. What's this? Is it going all the way across? No, I'm gonna do it like this. Alonzo says, I'm late, but I'm here, Dana. I'm listening always. Thank you. Thank you, Bernard. He said, just got here. Shout out, Miss Dana. Hi. Alonzo again, he says, I have seen just about everything in this country, and that includes, but not exclusive to, going to the colored school post, Jim Crow, 1966 to 1970, applying Georgia, being deemed as African American at the age of 30, but nothing like now. Yeah. Dana, these people are not dumb. They know what part of that amendment Trump wants to attack. I'm a baby boomer, but my eyes are open to the Dems. Yes, thank God. A lot of my audience, over 30%, like 38% of my audience are baby boomers. They're 65 and up. And I appreciate you guys because, you know, you are still the readers. You still read, you still do research, you know, you are concerned about the economy. You still have common sense. You don't be on social media doing stupid stuff. So you know what's going on. So I appreciate my boomers. Yes. Courtney and Todd Daniels got a lost brother out here eating chicken on TikTok. That's funny. Honey, he was tearing that biscuit up. That he actually, even though it was kind of like gauche, it was kind of gauche looking, but honey, he was tearing up the Popeyes.
Bro, I had to go get my own Popeyes today. And look, bro, I had to go get my own Popeyes today. And look how small the leg is.
He's like, look how small the legs. Girl, I had to get my own Popeyes. I mean, it's the biscuit for me. It's the biscuit. It's the biscuit. but the chicken sound crisp. The biscuit looked like it was soft. I want to get some Popeyes, but I know, honey, if I put a piece of biscuit or fried chicken in my mouth, honey, I would get a headache from all that grease. All the grease. Sarah, honey, tomorrow. Tomorrow's Injustice for All. Tomorrow. Listen, thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for tuning in. And I'll see, well, the judge will see you tomorrow. You'll hear me tomorrow. But I may, you know what? I'm gonna go live Friday and take some phone calls. Maybe Friday in the afternoon. I'm not sure yet. Or Friday night. Maybe Friday night. It depends. But thank you. Thank you to everyone that's in the super chats. Thank you, of course, Alonzo, Bernard, yeah, Courtney. Thank you guys. Appreciate everyone. Oh, let's check in on NASA again. Let's see where NASA is. What is this? Let's check in on NASA before we get up out of here. Where are they? Oh, cool. So there's no, you know what? So they're in outer space. So Trump is going live tonight at 9:00. I will be watching that. And we're definitely going to be following up on the Artemis II. So there they go. That's them right there in outer space. So cool. All right, guys, listen. Great show. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye. Where is what I'm doing? Doing too much. Here we go. Bye, guys.